Hey y'all, how are ya? Welcome to Misty Ridge Homestead on this rainy Monday afternoon. I'm very grateful for the rain. I just planted some carrots today, so I'm so grateful for a little bit of rain. It's not a lot of rain, but it's just kind of drippy and misty, and that's good. That'll work too. I'll grab you something to drink and let's talk a bit. I'm drinking, let's say, caramel macchiato iced coffee, homemade, and it's yummy. In the afternoon, I love some iced coffee, don't you guys? So what have we been doing this week? So, I guess the biggest thing I did was I harvested enough tomatoes. Well, between my harvest and some that I found that I had frozen from last year that I had not used, actually, my husband found them. I had enough tomatoes to make a big old pan of tomato sauce, and it turned out really good. I was afraid it would be bland, a little bit like my salsa, because I didn't have all of the different kinds and flavors of tomatoes that I normally do. But they were good. Like I said, I had some from last year that I had frozen and never used, so it worked out. It worked out really nice. I have an 18-quart cooker. I forgot what you call that kind of cooker. Roaster that when I do big batches of things, I use that, and it was full. You'll see, it was full. It was full. Also this week, so I had a Vitamix go out on me. I had that Vitamix for probably 15 years. I got it when I have an esophagus disorder, and I've had to have surgery a couple of different times to make it where I can eat, because sometimes I couldn't eat. And during one of the worst of those times, we spent several $100s on a really good quality Vitamix, so that I could blend my foods. So you can blend anything. You can make, and I'll show you. You can just, whole tomatoes and carrots and potatoes, and in 6 or 7 minutes you got soup. It works really, really nice. But my Vitamix that I'd had for 15 years broke. And so I got a new Vitamix. It is not as high quality. It's not as top of the line, not as professional level, I guess, as the one I had, but it is working so good. And when you do some of the things that I do, I really didn't realize how much I used it until I didn't have it. So one of the things I like to do is dehydrate vegetables at the end of the season. Peppers and tomatoes and really everything. I dehydrate them, and then I make just a powder just a vegetable powder that I put into soups and different things throughout the winter. I use it to make a dehydrated cucumber, so I can do dehydrated like a tzatziki. I use it for peppers, for really hot peppers. I make a pepper powder. And so anyway, not having that really made a difference. So I'm very grateful to have a new Vitamix. And when I got it, one of the first things I wanted to do was to make a soup. So I made with all those tomatoes that I had gathered, I made a yummy tomato basil soup, and I froze some of it. One thing is, I am not somebody who generally likes real spicy stuff, but I grow notapinas and I grow jalapenos. And apparently one of them was mislabeled, because I put what I thought was notapinos. They have the flavor of a jalapeno without the bite. They don't have the heat, but you still get the jalapeno flavor. So I thought I put notapinos in my tomato basil soup, and I put whole jalapenos, seeds and all. So it was just a bit spicy, so I had to tone it down. When I eat it, I have to tone it down with a little bit of sour cream and crackers with it. But it's still really good. So, and I had enough to freeze several cups. So let's see, what else did we do this week? We made, one of the things I've been wanting to do with some of the herbs that I grow, and some of just the herbs that I keep, was to make some tinctures, medicinal type of tinctures that you can use for different things. So this week I started a mullein tincture. I started a oregano tincture, a lemon balm tincture. I can't say that very good, tincture. And an elderberry tincture, and one other one that I can't remember what was. But basically, I'm just going to we used Everclear. You have to use a real strong alcohol and mix the herbs, the dried herbs with them. And then you put them in a jar and put them in a dark place and shake them once a day for about a month. And then you drain the liquid off and you put it in like droppers, and you can take a dropper at a time, or you can sometimes use it topically depending on the situation. So also this week, my grandson is I think he's a junior. You sure think he's a junior? He's either a sophomore or a junior. He plays football for a local high school. Their colors are red, white, and blue. So, and he is bigger than life. His name is Jet Phoenix, and he is bigger than life. And he likes bling. And we blinged out his football cleats. So you'll kind of see a little bit of that. It was a lot of fun. It took a lot of time. We had these little bitty beads that we were using to do it, and it, like I said, it took a lot of time to do. It took 4 or 5 hours to do them completely, but they are so cool. I hope they last for him. So, excuse me. I just enjoyed spending the time with him too. It's always fun. And it's funny. All of my grandkids enjoy different things. You know, one of them likes to watch movies and work in the yard with me. You know, one of them just loves to pull carrots, and one of them likes to decorate, and one of them likes to do crafty things. So it's just a lot of fun having a lot of grandkids. I wish they all live close. They don't, but the ones that do, I get to do fun things with, and they'll outgrow me eventually. But so far, right now, I get to do fun things with them. So today, I have been working on. I think I told y'all last week. I started a new sourdough, and it takes a couple of weeks for it to get ready to use. Probably as of today, it's usable. So I used some of the discard and made some sourdough discard crackers. You'll see. I'll kind of go through the recipe when I do it. But I mean, I use different cheeses. Normally, I use Parmesan. Today, I used Monterey Jack cheese in it, and I top them with everything but the bagel on them, and they're really good. So, and they're real easy to do as well. So the other big thing I got done today was I finally got my carrots in the ground. And I've struggled with carrots. I really, really want to have a good carrot harvest. And so this year, instead of using just regular seeds, I ordered pelleted seeds because they're a little bigger and easier to see what you're planting. So you don't have to thin them quite as much, and that I find that difficult. So I planted 3 different colors. I planted the cosmic purple, which is my favorite. I planted some regular yellow carrots, and then not yellow, orange, and then some yellow ones. So I planted 3 different ones, and I hope they do well. This time of year, I never know when the right time is to plant them, because they say they don't do well in the heat, but they need a little heat to germinate. And it's been real cool cooler the last week, so hopefully they'll do okay. And then I guess the last thing that we'll take a look at is just a quick look at the late summer garden, all overgrown and crazy as it is. So y'all come on and let's take a look at what's been going on this week at Misty Ridge Homestead. Isn't that a beautiful tomato sauce? And that 18-quart roaster is almost full. I've got 23 pints. I can't in pints because that works better for me and James. If I need to do bigger, I'll just use more pints. But we got 23, almost 24. I put a half a jar in the refrigerator, and we had spaghetti the next night. So it just turned out so pretty and so nice. I love yummy tomato sauce, and we use it a lot. So I was really concerned that I wasn't going to have enough tomatoes to make any, but God just provides. And my husband was looking in the freezer, and I had some in the freezer ready to use. Cleaning those rims with vinegar before they get closed up with the ring and the lid and put in my electric pressure cooker. Although I'm not pressure cooking these, I'm water bath canning them. Pints, I believe I do 35 minutes. I have to double check. My electric canner, I absolutely love. You've heard me talk about it before. And I think I can do 7 pints at a time, which is not too bad because I don't have to stand over it like I do the one on the stove. You have to push a few buttons when it beeps at you, but it's pretty automated. This first batch is done. I'm fixing to pull them out and put another batch in. And we'll just be moving right along here. Wow, isn't that pretty? Canning and preserving the fresh vegetables that we grow is just one of my greatest pleasures. I just have learned to love it so much because there's not anything like it. I started to say in the middle of winter, you know, when you pull out a soup you've preserved, but frankly, any time of year when you have fresh vegetables that you grew out of your garden, they just taste better. Yesterday, I pulled a couple of the Bantam corn that I tried for the first time this year in. We had it for dinner, and I'm just telling you, fresh corn, right off just pulled and fixed right away, is just amazing. It's so sweet. It's just so sweet and delicious. I tried just a few corn stalks this year. I think maybe next year we'll do a little bit bigger plot. I'm thinking about doing, I had an in-ground area, pretty large in-ground area for things like watermelons and squash that run all over the place. At this point, as you'll see when we go to the garden, those things are just running everywhere right now, and I kind of enjoy that. But I think next year I'm going to put a pretty large square, sort of in-ground, maybe put about a 6-inch board around it to fill it up. 35 minutes is what I'm setting that for. Anyway, put about a 6-inch board around, make a great big huge square, and then put squash and pumpkins and all that stuff out there. Wow, isn't that pretty? Isn't that pretty? And that's a lot of tomato sauce, and it's sweet, and it actually has a lot of flavor. I was worried it wouldn't have a lot of flavor because my tomatoes weren't all very good this year. But my saving grace was that I had some frozen that I had forgotten about from last year. So now that new Vitamix that I have, we're gonna make some soup. I washed tomatoes all different sizes and shapes and put them in there, and now I'm adding a big old handful of basil that I just pulled from the garden too. So we've got fresh tomatoes from the garden, fresh basil from the garden, and some onions that I grew, some sweet onions that I grew. We're gonna put in there, and then a bunch of seasonings, and we're gonna put that Vitamix on and turn it on. There's actually a setting on this new Vitamix where I can just put soup and I can walk away, and I think it's about 7 minutes. You come back and the soup is piping hot. Oh, I know what else I put in here. I put peppers. I put what I thought was a jalapeno pepper in here, but I grow jalapeno peppers and I grow not-a-peno peppers, and I put a not-a-peno pepper in here, or that's what I thought it was, and the whole thing, seeds and everything. And so my soup turned out to be a bit spicy because that was not a peanut. It was a jalapeno. There goes in some garlic. And this makes a really good soup, y'all. And just fresh tomatoes, fresh basil, onion. I think I did garlic. Of course, the pepper I probably would put in something maybe not quite so spicy next time. And turn it on soup. and we'll have soup in just a minute. And then I made enough to make, I bought this so, oh my goodness, it was good. Oh my goodness, it was good. I am not sure about the slow motion thing. I must have hit a button. Sorry. Making videos is still fairly new to me, y'all, so give me some grace here. It's sort of cool, I suppose. It's so slow, it looks like I was having a hard time putting the lid on, but I don't remember having a hard time putting the lid on. And with those onions, I chopped them a little bit, but you really don't have to. I mean, you could just cut them in half, or, I mean, the Vitamix just pulverizes whatever you put in there. In fact, today, I just read, I've been wanting a grain meal, a Nutri-Meal, but they're so expensive. And I've been on the lookout, like on eBay and Mercari and the different places where you can find used quality things. I buy things on those sites often. And I've not found one, but I read today when I was looking up some Vitamix recipes that I can use my Vitamix for grain, processed grain. So I'm going to get me some wheat berries and give it a try. So y'all look at that soup. Look at that soup. And I got enough. See, those are perfect for lunch. I can just pull one of those out and thaw it a little bit and warm it up, and it'll be wonderful for soup on a weekday. Although I'll probably have to tone mine down with a little bit of sour cream because it's a bit spicy. In the background there with the white lids, those are the tinctures that I made. And those are medicinal. I've been wanting to make for a while. And they're fairly easy to make too. I just used the fresh herbs that I had, or the dried herbs depending on what I had. And there's my spicy tomato soup. I used the fresh or dried herbs, and you cover. I used Everclear. You have to use a pretty strong alcohol. I used Everclear, and then you just put it in a dark place, and you shake it every day for about a month, and then you take it out and drain the liquid. You use the liquid in like droppers, and you can put, depending on what it is, you put, for instance, I think the lemon balm, if I remember right, can be used. It'll anti-anxiety. So if you're feeling anxious, you could put a couple of drops under your tongue. I've got some books. This is my year to learn those things. So I've got some books I'm trying to study up on what works for what and how to use it. Some of it you use topical, some of it you use you take like with tea or in water. You do it different ways. So, but you gotta be careful because some of it can hurt you if you take it wrong. So it's a learning process, like everything. Like everything. I'll be curious, do you guys have a Vitamix? If you do you have any really good recipes specifically for soup? I need some new recipes for soup because I'm just loving having that again. One of the things I like to do is a potato soup. You just take a whole potato and butter and maybe a carrot and some beef broth in there, and it'll make a really, really good potato soup. I made a mullein tincture. I have a hard time saying that. An oregano tincture. A lemon balm tincture. And then I made a couple more. One is elderberry tincture, and I forgot what the other one is. Rosemary, maybe. But this is my grandson, Jet Phoenix, and we are blinging out his football cleats, y'all. This was fun. It took probably 4 hours with both of us working on it to get all of the stones on there. But aren't they cool looking?
Cutting edge technology and 18 career options.
He's just a cool kid. He really is.
The skills and confidence to step into the workforce ready.
It takes a very confident young man to be this bold, and he is confident, and he is bold, and he enjoys the bling. He gets that from me. I always liked a little bit of bling. Didn't they turn out nice though? And then he had to go home and showcase it. That's what he put on Facebook. Now we're going to make some sourdough crackers with the sourdough discard. I've started my sourdough about 2 weeks ago, and it is probably, I don't know, a day or so away from being ready to make bread. But I can make the sourdough crackers that I make with the discard. So I keep a big old batch of sourdough on the counter because I use it for waffles and just the crackers that I'm making here. That takes, for each recipe, it takes a cup and a third of the sourdough starter, and I make 2 batches at a time. So it takes almost 3 cups when I just want to make the crackers. So use that, and it takes some olive oil in it. I think it's a 1/4 cup of olive oil. And then I add usually cheese. I was out of the Parmesan that I normally add, so this time I added nutritional yeast and some Monterey Jack cheese, and then I add everything but the bagel seasoning in a little bit in it, and then on top of it too. You just bake it for about 30 minutes, and you take it out and cut them into crackers, and you put them back in the oven for another 20 or 30 minutes. So sometimes I tend to burn them. One of the things that I'm still working on with this is getting them thin enough. I think maybe you need a bigger cookie sheet or something to get them thin enough, or maybe just make 3 batches out of what I make instead of 2 the way I did it. Here's everything but the bagel seasoning that goes in there. And then it takes about 10 minutes to throw this together and put in the oven. So and we eat a lot of these crackers. We really like them. And you can do like various kinds of cheeses. I've not tried it, but you could probably crush up some, I don't know, some almonds or some nuts or something and put in them. There's a lot of different things you could do with it. And there's the nutritional yeast going in, just to give it a little cheesiness. Like our favorite is Parmesan. Parmesan with everything with the bagel on top of it. But I've had people do it. So I've seen people do with rosemary in it and on top, and I would bet that would be amazing. It's like a rosemary cracker. But it's a pretty runny batter. And my best friend makes crackers, but she has a flour recipe. Mine don't have any flour in it. It really is just sourdough starter, oil, and whatever seasonings and flavors that you want to put in it. This is where I think, pardon me, I think that if I had a bigger baking sheet, or it just occurred to me that I could really just spread this really, really thin and do a whole nother cookie sheet worth. And I bet that would work better, because the ones in the middle they still come out just a little chewy. But the good news is I like them crunchy, and my husband likes them a little chewy, so that kind of works. So I like the crunchy edges that they get on them. This is also good with cheddar. I think I've really not tried any cheese that wasn't delicious in these crackers. And they're just so easy. And they take about an hour. They're not difficult at all. think I was showing you that they cook at 325 for about 30 minutes for both time, and then 30 minutes next. And I forgot the best part. I forgot that everything but the bagel seasoning goes on top. So had to pull that right back. Lots of everything but the bagel seasoning. Lots. That's what makes it yummy. I don't know, what other seasonings do you think would be good on this? Or I'm going to have to try some rosemary. I think that would be really good. Just some big old crunchy sea sauce on top would be good too. And in the oven they go. Alexa, set a 30-minute timer. And I'll tell Alexa to set a timer for me and pull them out. Now, they're not quite ready at this point. I'm going to pull them out and use a pizza cutter to cut them into little square crackers. And then I'll put them back in the oven for about, 20 or 30 minutes. I start watching about 20 minutes to make sure they don't get too burnt on the edges. Now, some people take a toothpick and kind of make holes in the middle. I haven't done that, and it hasn't seemed necessary, but I have seen people do that. And if you were making like a cheese cracker with these, with just a lot of cheese and nothing else, you could make it kind of like a Cheez-It with the hole in the middle. I might try that too. Got my little watering can sitting there. I need to go water the greenhouse, the little baby plants in the greenhouse. They're just growing like crazy. I'll have to do another video and show you how they're coming along. Probably do another video when I get ready to separate them and split them into their own little pots. It won't be long. They're growing real fast. And there we go. 20-30 minutes. This time it took almost 30 minutes for them to get done, and they didn't get too crispy on the edges. And just like that, we have crackers. Let them cool just a little bit before I start breaking them up and put them in the little jar they go in. Because they are hot right now, but they are yummy, I can tell you. Isn't that a pretty cracker? It's an odd thing to say. Pretty crackers. I think they're pretty. They're cool. I wish I could show you a better picture of the bottom of them. They are where the cheese is. It's kind of has swirls in it looking. It looks really cool on the bottom. Some of these on the end are still pretty chewy, but as they dry, as they kind of dry out a little bit, they get really crunchy. So it's pretty good. I like this one because it's easy, no blender, nothing real difficult. It's just a real easy process. I don't even have to think about it anymore. I do them so often. I just whip up a batch in about 10 minutes and on with my day. And these will be gone in just a few days. I guarantee you, especially if I have some with that tomato soup. Wouldn't that be good? Quite fill up my jar. About 3/4 full. This is an old jar. It's got one of those seals that come off that I have to find to buy anymore. This one that I use on this is kind of hard. So I'm sure if I look around I can find. They probably sell them. The round collars that go on the top of them. I don't know if they said a yard sale, I think. old jars like that, but I sure do need to replace the seal on this one. These are still pretty warm, so when I get them out of the jar, I'm going to leave the lid open until they have time to cool off. It's like what do you think? Are y'all going to make some sourdough discarded crackers? Let me know. And let me know how yours turn out. I would link the recipe, but I honestly have no idea where I got it. Probably somewhere on Pinterest, but I'll take a look, see if I can find it. We have sourdough crackers. Now we're going to plant some carrots that I've been wanting to plant for weeks. I just never know exactly when to plant them this time of year because they say they don't really like to grow in the heat, but they need a little heat to germinate. So I am planting cosmic purple carrots, yellow carrots, and I am planting one row of, or 2 rows of orange, just regular orange carrots. I'm hoping I get a pretty good harvest. I have tried, and I've always struggled with carrots. I've always planted them the wrong time of year, and something happens, and they don't. I've grown a few, just not a big harvest like I want to grow. So, y'all have to excuse my yard. Our weed eater's tore up. We've had so many lawnmower issues this year. The weed eater should be fixed by this weekend, so y'all are going to see my garden full of overgrowth all around the beds and everywhere, specifically where we normally use the weed eater. So again, just give us some grace there. We're trying to get it fixed, but you can't just stop when something like that happens. You have to keep going, you know. I'm planting pelleted seeds this year. Carrot seeds are so tiny, and I've seen people plant them and put boards over them so they don't blow away, and cardboard, all kinds of different things. So, and I've tried those things. This year I paid a little more and ordered pelleted carrots, which is just the individual seed is just encapsulated. So they're a little bit larger. They're about the size of a BB. So you can actually see each individual, and they're white, so you can see what you're planting. So you're not going to get, clumps, which is what I normally get. And then after with scissors trying to thin them, and I don't do that well. So I am trying the pelleted carrot seeds. I think I got these from Baker Creek. No, I'll have to look and see where I got them. I had to search to find them because I really wanted the cosmic purple ones. I love those. I think they're just magical looking. They're purple on the outside and orange on the inside. So they just give you a little bit of surprise when you cut into them. They're pretty. And the idea of a bowl of carrots on my table is all different colors like that. That just makes my heart happy. I'm saying a prayer over my carrot bed this year. I have to watch them and make sure they germinate. I hope they do well. I couldn't even get to the other side, to the right side of the bed, because the weeds were so high. I was afraid to kind of step in there, so I had to get in the bed to plant the seeds. But it worked. Me and my chicken boots. I have wore those boots completely out. It's about time to get some more. But those are, anytime I'm in the garden or working in the yard, that's what I have on. And they have chickens on them. And I just have enjoyed them. But they are about worn out. So I'm putting probably 2 seeds in each little area there. And I'm planting them, probably 2.5 inches or so apart. I'm not being real methodical about it. Do you guys plant carrots? And so I know there are areas like up north where they grow a lot easier than they do here in the south where I am in North Georgia, where it gets like over 100 degrees and has been quite a bit this summer. the carrots don't grow in summer at all, so you have to grow them in the early spring or the fall. And my spring garden got destroyed by cows, and we had a lot of wind, and then the husband was sick, so that one didn't work very good this year. So hopefully we can make the fall garden a little better. I don't have a high tunnel. Last year I had a high tunnel that I planted all my cabbage and all of the brassicas in, and spinach and all that kind of stuff, and it got blown away, absolutely blown away with the windstorm we had, and just mangled. And I'm contemplating, I still have the beds there in that area, and I'm contemplating whether I want to spend the money to get another one to put there. We will see. Either way, I'm going to go ahead, when it's time, and plant everything out, and we'll see how it goes, whether I decide to get another high tunnel. I think the high tunnel for me in my area just give me a little extra warmth on the really cold days. We don't have a whole lot of cold days in my area, but it occasionally gets down, really cold. But we don't get down like below 20 hardly ever. So, and that, from what I read, the high tunnel that I had will give you about 10 degrees. So, I mean, that gives me the ability to grow throughout the winter most years. I mean, there are years that it gets colder than that, but not very often. And when it does, it's usually one night or something like that. We have, the Great Pyrenees dogs, and they kind of help guard our goats and chickens and cows and such, and they can stay outside. In fact, they prefer to be outside in the cold. They absolutely love it. I see all the memes that says, if you're cold, they're cold, bring them in. Yeah, well, you just try that with the Great Pyrenees. They want to roll around in the snow. There's not anything they like better than being outside when it's cold. They get frisky. But when it gets down below 20, I make sure I make them come inside. They don't like it even then, but I do make them come inside when it gets that cold. But I would say that maybe happens once a winter. It don't happen very often. So I really, talking to you guys about it, I'm kind of thinking maybe I will get another high tunnel. I like the idea, because if you're going to go to the effort to plant the brassicas, it'd be nice for them to not get solid frozen. From everything I've read, they can handle a little freeze. In fact, some of it, does better, like collard greens and spinach. Apparently, they taste better after a mild freeze. But I mean, a hard freeze, they just get mushy. That's not fun. That's not fun at all. But if you grow carrots in your area, do you have any secrets? I've got two things that I have really struggled with, that I really want to grow. One is carrots, the other is onions. So I tried onion. I had an onion actually in this very bad. I tried onions and planted a whole lot of them, and that's when the cows got in and they ate the tops off. I still had onions, they just didn't get very big. But we'll try again next year. I think we've got it where the cows can't get back in, because they ate things I didn't think they would eat. They ate the tops off the onions. They ate the asparagus bed. They ate all of the strawberries. That makes sense. They had all the strawberry greens that I had. That bed would have been so beautiful this year. And then they ate the brassicas. They ate the cabbage and all of that stuff. And they got in the beds and stepped on them and kind of bent my beds a little bit too. So I was really mad at those bulls. It was the bulls. So, but I mean, it was in the winter. Well, kind of early spring, before it got warm enough for the grass to grow. And I had green stuff growing in here, and they probably saw it and smelled it. And cows apparently can smell very good. When you bring some grain, they come running from far away. They know you have it. Not really liking the watering that I've got in here currently. I need to work on it. It needs another line or two to make sure this bed has enough water. To work on that. My carrots lines are not going to be very straight though. You know, you don't see that when you're out there doing it, but when you're watching it in a video, yeah, I can see that my lines are not straight at all. I should have brought a string or a yardstick or something so they'd be pretty. But heck, if I can get enough carrots this year, I'll be happy regardless of pretty lines or not. They can be all cattywampus for all I care, as long as they grow big old pretty carrots for me. And hopefully by the weekend the big weed eater will be done. My small weed eater died, and the big weed eater that's my husband's, just the one that'll be fixed by the weekend, I can't manage, so I'll have to get one of the big strong grandsons over here to see if they can help get these weeds knocked back a little bit, because they are out of control. The cows would have a field day in here right now. I shouldn't even say that out loud. That would break my heart, because I've got the carrot seeds started. I've got a row of rattlesnake beans started that they're just not germinating. I'm going to have to maybe soak some and take them back out there and try again. I wanted another row of green beans, and I'll grow the rattlesnake beans, but the other ones I've got a lot of vines, but I don't have a lot of beans. So I'm going to start some more. I've also started some zucchini. I struggle so much with the squash bugs and the vine borers. They kill every squash I plant. So I just plant them over and over and over everywhere. What I've not tried before is planting them this late in the season. So I'm planting some more round zucchini and some black beauty zucchini and some, I don't know how, Kakuza zucchini. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. And maybe some Zephyr if I can find my seeds. Those are the yellow on one end, green on the other. I also ordered some dragon egg cucumbers to get another harvest of cucumbers. Y'all, look at these Scuppernongs. This is its third year, and we've only got a handful of them. This year we've got so many. I don't know what we're going to do with them. How do you preserve these? Is there a way other than to take the seeds out and make jelly? I guess you could make a juice, a wine. What you do with all these Scuppernongs, y'all? They're still hard. They're not quite ripe, but man, they're beautiful. Let's go check out the garden. My little garden wreath's upside down. I need to fix that. All right, y'all. No judgment. I told you the mowers have been tore up. The weed eater's broken. So you're going to get to see it in all of its weedy glory. These David Austin roses, this one on this side is just growing like crazy. The other one has had a little bit more difficult time growing. But we're going to get some rain this afternoon, it looks like. And I think I'm about to pull all these big old sunflowers, these massive sunflowers out. This one's just hanging its head there. But you know what? The bees and the pollinators just love them. So also this weekend, I think I'm going to go ahead and pull the rest of the tomatoes out. I think they're done. They're just so sick. There's a jalapeno there, or maybe not a pinot. I'm trying to look at the tag. So I don't mess up my soups. And bell peppers. I don't have as many as I normally do, but I think I'll still get a decent harvest. The left side of this is just completely overgrown. It had blackberries in there, and I let them take over. That's going to be a loofah, I believe. I've got several binding things there, and I'm not sure what's what. This sage, we just harvested a whole bunch of it for my daughter to take home and dry. And this time I'm going to have to come out and get some more because it's just taking over there. And this is my pretty corn. It's called a bantam corn. And we had some for dinner last night. It was yummy. Oh, it was yummy. And I just think corn is pretty growing. Last year I grew Comachina squash on here. It took over so much. I had to pull it out all year. And I've got one little watermelon in here. There's one on the other side too, but I keep waiting for it to be done. But when I lift it up, it's not very heavy. I don't think it's done yet. I never know when to pick watermelon. These are just the little small ones. They're orange inside. Little Miss Pearl followed me to the garden. She can get through the little gate right now. It won't be much longer. Even the zinnias are starting to look a little sickly. The leaves, the flowers are still gorgeous, but the leaves are starting to look kind of spotted and bad. Wow, isn't she beautiful? I love zinnias so much. Next year I'm going to try dahlias. I've not been successful with that. I've tried a couple times and haven't gotten them yet. This is my green bean trellis. Needs to be cleaned up so I can get in there. But I don't have a whole lot of beans yet. I've got some flowers. And the bees, pollinators are doing their job. And I've got a handful of beans. I've just not got a lot off of here yet. And this, I have been waiting for this sunflower bed to start blooming. I think tomorrow I'm going to come cut some and bring them in the house. It is sunflower season. And there's so many different kinds in here. On the other side I saw one that looks like it's going to be red. Or orange anyway. So they're so pretty. I'm watching, there should be some teddy bear sunflowers in here. And if you don't know what they are, they're fuzzy. They're so pretty. If I get in, I'll be sure and show you. And this is my lantana on the porch. And excuse me for just a second. I'm going to get you into the mandevilla there while I get the lemongrass up. I think the goats must have been trying to eat on it and pulled it over. And there's my peppermint spilling over everywhere. And of course more zinnias. I've got those everywhere. And there's the strawberries. Since we lost the strawberry bed in the garden, I've replanted some. But I wanted to have some out here for the just in case. And there's my green stalk on the porch. I've got some lemon balm and some little cherry tomatoes that I'm still hoping I'll get something from. And the ground cherries that my granddaughter loves, but they are not looking good. I need to work and see if I can figure what's going on with that. She's not going to be happy. Hazel will not be happy if we don't have ground cherries. And those are cucamelons when they start producing. I think I saw a couple of flowers on there. Cucamelon's a little cucumber that looks like a little tiny little watermelon. It's yummy. Cosmos. And there's some little herbs on the porch. There's some thyme and some lemon thyme and some basil and nasturtium. It hadn't done well on the porch. I think I probably need a bigger pot or something. There's some borage. Oh, and bloom. It's really pretty blooming. I grow it, but to be honest, I'm not sure what to do with borage, so I'll have to do some research. Here's the deal. This was just and some basil and sweet little Miss Pearl. And I'm about to get some okra finally. The last of the tomatoes. And a pumpkin or a squash. I'm not sure where, but it's wild and going everywhere. Thank you guys for hanging out with us today. Come back to Misty Ridge Farm and join us again. We had a busy week, didn't we? Talk to you next time. Y'all be blessed.